Hello again. Hopefully you're all still awake. Okay, so first of all, I think I'd have to say up front that I'm not, hang on, let's see if this works. Oh, sorry. That I'm not a mining expert, so apologies if I get some of these terms wrong. My sort of focus is very much in the renewable space, which I think is, as I said earlier, a very exciting bedfellow with the mines. What we as a company decided to do a year or so ago is to try and look at a solution specifically for the mining industry, which I'm going to cover. But I think before I do that, it's probably worthwhile, albeit I've only got 20 minutes, to give you a little bit of background on Lightsource, some of our credentials, in order that we illustrate why you should potentially listen to us whenever we're talking about the potential of renewables for the mining sector. So, what do I point at? Okay, so Lightsource is a global leader in the funding, development, and long-term operation of solar parks. So we're very much we're not simply a developer who then, looks to sell to the highest bidder and move on. We have a 30-year or 25 to 30-year relationship with the assets that we build. Come on. Point to the back of the room. Yeah. Okay. We are the largest commercial solar developer, financier, and operator in Europe. We're the second largest in the world outside China, and I'm not saying that for any other reason than it's really difficult to get the details of what's going on, specifically in terms of numbers inside China. All of our transactions are structured in a bankable standard way, given the fact that obviously we're going to be operating these assets for their entire life. We're EPC and equipment agnostic. We're not a manufacturer of product. We will use a number of different EPC contractors, whether that's because you favor those EPC contractors or whether it's because of the fact that we have a longer relationship with them, can drive down prices. Those are obviously discussions to be had. And we're very much into first mover advantage, trying to use innovation to shape markets, which sort of rings true given what I'm going to talk about here. Our model is to own and operate. Our model is not to build for someone else. So we own and operate the plants. We are the experts in these areas, and therefore, what we find is our business partners like the fact that they're essentially outsourcing that expertise to ourselves. And the big plus, obviously, from your perspective or from the industries that we deal with, is that there's no capital expenditure for them. They simply enter into a relationship with us to buy the electricity. We are the largest company in Europe, as I said. We have 1.3 gigawatts operating today. We've built that over the last 5 years, so quite significant growth in a very short period of time. We're also one of the largest operation and maintenance businesses in the world with 2 gigawatts. We did £2.3 billion deployed in our first 5 years, which again is a number we're very proud of. And I think one of the important points also is that last year alone we did 65 utility scale transactions. So we built, connected, whatever, accredited 65 different deals. We have 300 in-house individuals, predominantly in London. And in a market where expertise is key, I cannot tell you enough how important it is to make sure. Solar is a simple technology, but it is not an easy technology. So whatever you do, whoever you come up with to deliver your solutions, please believe me, you need to look at expertise. One of the other areas I think that's important is capital. Last year we did £1.1 billion worth of project finance, and we also did the world's largest ever sterling-denominated green bond for £284 million. And the reason why these things are important is if you're looking to partner with somebody to build out on your behalf, whether it's PPA or where you want to own, you've got to make sure that the company that you're partnering with knows what they're doing. And believe me, this is definitely a dark art when it comes to financing these things. that's the current standing. It's interesting that the largest in the world is Mr. Buffett with his Berkshire Hathaway Group, and we're in second place. This is Bloomberg's report rather than mine, much as I'd love to make these things up in my back room. Unfortunately, we've got to have the support of Bloomberg. One of the things that we've done in our industry in solar is we've constantly looked at innovating. We've constantly looked at new things. How can we have a challenge, how do we come up with a solution for that challenge? And that's exactly what we've done in the mining solution, which I'll come on to in a minute, but I want to give you some other examples of what we've done in other areas. The first one was we had a client, Thames Water, one of the largest water utilities in the UK, massive, not that you can see it, massive user of electricity. And the issue here was that they're the deliverer of potable water, drinking water to central London. Problem is, building large solar parks in the middle of central London is not particularly easy, given that space is somewhat at a premium. So, not sort of giving in to that challenge, we built this. This is the world's first and largest deep water floating solar park. So basically this is 6.3 megawatts floating on the Queen Elizabeth II reservoir. Reduces algae growth, reduces evaporation. Those are pluses, but more importantly for us, we have built this with the sole intention of entering into a 25-year PPA with Thames Water. They buy all of the electricity that this produces, and at a significant, I think a 23% reduction to what their current electricity pricing is. Again, not relevant to the mining industry, but interesting because it illustrates us coming up with a solution. Next one, Bentley Cars. Again, in a large area, we were never getting planning. Oh, sorry. So what we did was we built, unfortunately it wasn't one roof, it's 126 roofs, the roof of Bentley Cars. And I'm allowed to say this in this room, but I'm not allowed to say it to the media. We produce 21% of the electricity that builds the least green car in the world from renewable means. Needless to say, there's some issues that Volkswagen Audi Group have with that statement, but it's really interesting. Again, you know, a very significant percentage of the electricity delivered from green. We own the kit on the roof, and they simply own the roof. Another challenge, again, this was a different one. This is Belfast International Airport. They had a problem that they simply needed electricity at a price that worked. This is in Northern Ireland. Electricity prices are very high. So we built them a solar park. It's the first one in the island of Ireland. And there it is. And interestingly, we talked about price earlier. Be absolutely clear, we are building in the UK, that country that's not very sunny, subsidy-free. So we're building today and undercutting the incumbent electricity supply, which is supplied via the grid, it's not off-grid or anything, at 20% less than they're paying today. So pricing, believe me, is not going to be your challenge here. Okay, so, oh, sorry, and another one, I'm going to move on here because I'm looking at time. Amy Cespa is another one. The problem there was that Amy Cespa couldn't get planning permission around their site, so we went 3 kilometres away. And you can sort of see it in the top right-hand corner there. We've expanded it for you. We basically built a large solar park, but we built it 3 kilometres away because of the fact that we couldn't build it adjacent. So again, these are illustrations of problems that we've gone and solved with solar solutions. Okay, so what about a solar solution for the mining industry? Many of the case studies here, actually the solution for mines is very, very similar. If you're in a position where you can enter into a 25 or 30-year PPA, then the prices that we can get on solar are incredible. You will be in the single digits. Whenever diesel costs are running, you know, between 20 and 30 dollar cents, again, it depends where the mine is, then believe me, in the middle of nowhere with the sunshine hardwired in behind the meter, we can hit extremely competitive pricing. And remember, we can hit it where we're putting our money where our mouth is. We own, we operate, and you simply enter into an agreement to buy. A power purchase agreement is really, really simple. We will buy, and we will buy on the strength of the securitization of your promise to pay over, in most cases, certainly in our UK and Europe business, a 25 or 30-year promise. So, other reasons why you would do this. as you've seen earlier, I mean, those numbers are incredible. The amount that is spent on electricity, and indeed with greater electrification, that is set to increase. But you are able to reduce the second largest, or in some cases, I would say the first largest operating expense with no CapEx expenditure from you at all. It's a hedge against rising commodity prices. We essentially enter into a price that is fixed, either indexed that is set 2%, 2.5%, or a set indice, RPI, or something equivalent. So you know exactly where you are in terms of price and in terms of supply for the long term. We can safeguard, obviously, against future carbon legislation, which I know in your industry is becoming more relevant. Community relations, we do this in other countries where you can actually build a bit of a solar park and connect it to the community. If you require community support, then there's extra things you can add, if you like, to sweeten those relationships. And obviously, you've got the big issue that you guys are constantly being battered with, which is supply chain transparency. The other thing about solar is the difficult bit's done in a factory. Whenever it gets to site, it's just installation. There's nothing really that badly that can go wrong. Okay. However, some of you will say that's not a solution for the mining industry. That's just a solution that you've got that you're delivering to the mining industry. And therefore, what we wanted to do was we wanted to go a step further, because not every mine has actually got 25 to 30 years. Whether it's a short concession, whether the life of the mine isn't there, or whether or not simply there's fluctuating costs that mean you don't want to enter into a 25-year deal, then we sort of thought to ourselves, well, hang on a second here, how can we come up with something that actually delivers a true solution for the mining industry? We sort of looked at this and thought, is there a way that we can get a shorter term contract, a contract that is bespoke to the individual mine? Obviously for you guys it's quite difficult, because if I was entering into a 10-year agreement, a PPA agreement, and trying to repay all of the cap, up with a proposition that removes the question mark from you as to who to actually, well, two things. One, who do I want to if you like, enter into a relationship with to deliver solar? We want to be really, really aggressive on price. I mean, it's all about price at the end of the day. So we want to build volume that allows us to drive down the price. And second thing we also want to do is we want to make it a complete no-brainer for you as to whether or not you want to hold these on balance sheet and build them yourselves, or whether you want to outsource that to someone else. We believe that if we can get the price right, that it will encourage you to do it with us rather than do it in-house, which again allows us more confidence of being able to lift and shift and have a wide range or a wide reach to make sure that we can, if you like, shift on to other sites at the end of the initial term. Certainly from our perspective, we think that this is a very exciting market. We think it's a market that is scalable. The number of 4 billion is a really interesting number, but I would suggest that it's going to be a multiple of that. Every single time anyone sets a target in the solar industry, we always blast through it, because ultimately this is something that is going down in price and delivers something, i.e. clean energy, that you guys will continue to need. So just to finish, I think I'm okay for time. I suppose to sum up what we are looking for, we're looking to, our goal is to have a clean, green, money-saving solution that is bespoke to every mine with no capital expenditure yourselves, thus allowing us to do what we do best, which is build and operate solar parks, thus facilitating you to do what you do best, which is continue to run even more profitable mines well into the future. Thank you very much.